Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave. Today, I'm going to take a look at Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel and the transfers that he needs to make to turn Chelsea from title challengers to title winners. Of course, going to be checking out all this action, all the statistics over on SofaScore. Link in the description below. Go and check out the app. It's a banger. But anyway, it's time to dive in. So before we look at the transfers and the men that Chelsea should be looking at to bring to Stamford Bridge to make them win the league, let's have a look at the squad. Chelsea this season very much playing the 3-4-2-1 or a 3-5-2 at times under Thomas Tuchel, have provided some really good attacking thrust from their defensive side. Ben Chilwell and Reece James have provided such a cutthroat nature in the final third that at one point of the season, 42% of Chelsea's goals were scored by defenders. Looking, of course, into the future, Ben Chilwell will return, but Marcos Alonso has deputised at left-back. That potentially could be an area that Chelsea look to recruit for, but there's a few academy players coming through that could provide that role. So I'd say Chelsea maybe look for a central midfielder in the ilk of a ball player. I think one of the big things with Chelsea when they've looked a little bit out of sorts this season is when they have been missing both Jorginho or they've been missing Kovacic. Both players provide a certain role for Chelsea, controlling the tempo, controlling the play, but allowing his team to attack around both of those individuals. Jorginho, of course, absolutely fantastic when partnered with an N'Golo Kante. But I feel in central midfield, obviously Saul was brought in from Atletico Madrid, has flopped a little bit. I think he could potentially do a good job at left back or at centre back, but in defensive midfield, the Premier League looks a little bit too quick for him. I think the development of Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been really good as well, but the issue is Jorginho and Kovacic are very different players to a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, so I think that could potentially be where Chelsea need to look at getting a ball-playing central midfielder that's going to progress the play. So I think Thomas Tuchel could go back to the Bundesliga, go over to Leverkusen and see if they can pick up one of their central players. No, not Florian Wirtz, although he'd be absolutely disgusting at Chelsea with the German connection. This season in the Bundesliga at 18 years old, he's already racked up 5 goals and 8 assists. Could be an option for one of those attacking midfield slots, but we're not looking at that right quite now. So one player they could look at, his teammate Karim Dereby, a player that excels in central midfield. Statistically, looked very, very good in a few numbers. In terms of the overall stats, goal and assist, 1 apiece, but that is not the type of player he is. He's a type of player that's going to progress the play through carries and passes. He's made more progressive carries than any other midfielder in the Bundesliga. That's carrying the ball towards the opponent's goal. But only Joshua Kimmich has made more progressive passes amongst midfielders. He's a type of player that will grab a game by the scruff of the neck, like a Jorginho, like a Kovacic, that will use the ball, that will manipulate the ball, that will basically play-make from that central midfield zone. I think he could be a great option for Chelsea as another guy that they can get in midfield. I think as well, you could technically play him with Jorginho. If you wanted to go for a super heavy possession-based game like we see at times with Kovacic and Jorginho, Dereby could be that guy. And I think one of the big things that he's got is that ability to get into the final third, also a threat from range and dangerous from set pieces. But let's take a look at another option for Chelsea, another outside-the-box option. That could be Sergi Milinkovic-Savic. I have been a massive fan of Milinkovic-Savic for a long, long time. He'd be absolutely perfect for central midfield in the Premier League, but also could play a role at number 10. Physical player, arguably when he plays in those advanced areas, you could say he plays like a bit of a false target man, like a little bit like Marouane Fellaini for Everton, but gets into the box and scores goals. In terms of the other decent stats with Milinkovic-Savic, he's ranked in the top 3% amongst midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues for passes into the penalty area over the last year and is in the 94th percentile for touches in the final third. For Chelsea, he could really provide that thrust in the box. In terms of the statistics, is in the top 4% of players for aerial duels won. So not only could he provide an option at number 10, but I think as a box-to-box midfielder next to Jorginho could be absolutely perfect. And considering that Chelsea haven't scored enough goals at the moment in the Premier League from midfield, from attack, could be a big, big threat. Looking at his stats over the last few seasons, I think one of the big things that we see with Milinkovic-Savic is a ability to put the ball in the back of the net from midfield. He was one of the top scoring midfielders in the last few seasons from that central midfield area. This season, 5 goals and 5 assists in 17 games. Standout performances coming against Udinese. And as you can see there, that the heat map in the opponent's half on that right side of the pitch would provide Chelsea some good threat. But it is that box-to-box angle. Does absolutely everything. Scored against Udinese, created 2 chances, had 87 touches of the ball, 3 shots, completed 3 out of 3 of his dribbles, but also got stuck in defensively. 3 clearances, 1 block, 2 interceptions, 3 out of his 4 tackles won. And I think that's a perfect profile for Chelsea in central midfield. And it could also allow Chelsea to maybe switch their system up slightly and maybe go a little bit more 3-5-2. We've seen it at times this season with Jorginho dropping into that defensive midfield position. And, the likes of Kovacic and Kante playing together. But it would allow Werner and Lukaku to play up front together as a partnership with Milinkovic-Savic's box-to-box ability, with Mason Mount's playmaking in number 10 as a Mazzala. I think that would be absolutely perfect, giving Chelsea a lot more control, but also getting 4 attackers into the lineup, supporting the wing-backs. And that's a big, big thing. Chelsea like to cross from wing-back, and arguably Milinkovic-Savic could be the perfect target for them in the penalty area. That should free up some space for Romelu Lukaku. You take Milinkovic-Savic as a target, the opposition are going to have to deal with him, which would leave Lukaku potentially free to put the ball on the back of the net and do something that he does so well, playing as that poacher on the last line. But in terms of those 2 signings, I would say Milinkovic-Savic is the one that will get Chelsea closer to the promised land of winning the Premier League. Obviously, on the back of a Champions League win, Chelsea now under Tuchel, that's their next trophy that they want to win. Obviously, retaining the Champions League would be wonderful, but I think, in terms of the progress of the side and catching up with Man City and Liverpool, it definitely can be done under Thomas Tuchel, and Milinkovic-Savic could be the perfect player for the side. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're new around here, smash that sub button. Let me know, Chelsea fans, who you want to see Thomas Tuchel sign in January. I've been Statman Dave. Check out SofaScore, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.